If you're a founder or CEO and you're working hard, doing everything you were told to do, and you're still feeling financially stuck or unsafe, then FEM was built for you. You're not broken. You're not bad with money. You're just under pressure and underprotected. So here's the truth. Most people aren't bad with money. They're just trying to make financial decisions inside of systems that were never designed to protect them. So they keep earning more, doing more, pushing harder, and somehow still feel behind. That's not an income problem. That's a sequencing problem, a systems problem. And FEM is built on one core principle: protection comes first, profit comes second. Because growth without protection doesn't create freedom, it creates fragility. And FEM is not just accounting, bookkeeping, and taxes. FEM uses FEM Flow, which is a financial operating system, one that works with your nervous system and helps you to stop living in survival mode and start building real protection. So your money can finally support you instead of stressing you out. You don't have to figure this out alone, and you don't have to guess your way forward, because financial protection, security, and independence are your birthright, and FEM is here to help you reclaim them. So welcome to the Fevolution Podcast.
Protection first is not playing small. There is a lie at the heart of every money conversation you've ever had. It's the belief that if you're protecting yourself, then you're not ambitious. It's this unspoken rule that nobody ever really says out loud. It's just there, almost invisible. If you're cautious, you're scared. If you're prioritizing safety, you're playing small. And I want to be very clear today. That belief, the one that's been ingrained in you, is fundamentally wrong. And it's costing you more than you probably even realize. So let's talk about it. Protection first is not hesitation. It's not stagnation. It's not fear. It's not settling. Protection first is leverage. And the only reason it gets framed as a limited way to move is because the system you've been operating in requires you to be fragile to function. Think about what we're all taught, okay? Risk everything, put it all on the line, bet on yourself, work harder, scale faster, figure it out later. Protection is treated like a goal, something to aspire to, something you get after you've made it. It's not treated like the foundation it was meant to be, the thing you build off of, not build to. And this is where it starts to show up in real life, okay? I'm just give you some examples. Founders scaling their revenue, but still being one missed payment away from panic. People making more money than they ever have in their lives, but they're still checking their bank account before every decision. Businesses that are growing on the surface, so they look successful, right? But underneath, everything is being held together by timing, pressure, and constant output. That's not expansion. That's exhaustion. That's exposure. And when you really sit with that, the pattern becomes obvious. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Unprotected ambition burns people out. And ambition without protection doesn't expand, it consumes. So let's be honest about the pressure we're all under. We're taught that true ambition looks like taking massive, unprotected risks. That betting it all is the only way to prove that you're serious. But I want to ask you something. Is it actually ambitious to build something that could disappear after one bad week or month? Is it brave to be so dependent on constant output that you can't even step away for a weekend without feeling like everything would fall apart? That's not ambition. That's fragility. And living in constant fragility is the most limiting way you can possibly run a business. Fragility sounds like I can't afford to lose this client. I can't take a break this week. I just need to push through this month and everything will be okay. If you've ever said any of those things, you're not alone, but you're also not protected. And once you see that, everything about how you move starts to change because protection isn't about shrinking your goals. It's about building the structure that can actually hold your vision. It's about giving your ambition the space it needs to breathe so you can breathe, so you can exhale. Because when you're protected, you're not just busy for the sake of being busy. You're intentional with your time and your energy and your money. You can say no to the wrong things. You can wait for the right timing. You can choose your moves instead of being forced into them by pressure and urgency. And that kind of choice is what disrupts the status quo. Because when you're protected, you stop asking for permission and you start exercising your sovereignty, your autonomy. You stop asking, can I afford this? And you start deciding, this is how I move. So that looks like turning down work that doesn't align, even if it pays good. Not rushing into decisions just because money showed up. Not over committing yourself just to feel secure. That's what most people would call discipline. But that's not discipline, it's protection. And it's not just money, it's power. But without that kind of structure, you end up in a completely different kind of system, an unprotected one. Unprotected systems demand that you be a superhero just to break even. They require endless energy, infinite resilience, just for you to stay in the game. But heroics don't scale. A solid structure does. You can't build a house on sand. You need a concrete foundation, right? Because eventually something interrupts you. You get sick, your energy drops. You ain't feeling up to it today, right? Life happens And if everything depends on you showing up at 100% all the time, the moment you can't, everything starts to slip. You don't need to be superhuman. You need a system that was actually built to hold you. And that is exactly why most people feel the pressure that they do. Because growing without protection isn't just risky, it's reckless. It's like flooring the gas pedal in a car with no brakes. You're not building momentum, you're building towards a crash. And in this economy, it's not a matter of if something gives, it's a matter of when. Protection first is how ambition becomes sustainable. It's how growth stops costing you your health. It's how leadership stops feeling like pressure. Stability is not stagnation. Protection is not retreat. And safety is not the opposite of ambition. It is the foundation that makes ambition livable long term. Because people who are protected think longer term. So they make cleaner decisions. They're not reacting to every fluctuation. They're not making decisions just to relieve the pressure they're under. They're not saying yes just to keep things moving. They are deciding from stability, not survival. They don't have to overprove themselves because they're not operating from fear. They are operating from choice. And this is where most people miss it, okay? Protection first is not about shrinking your goals. It is about building something that can actually hold them. It's not about being safe. It's about being unshakable. And if this shifted how you see protection, there's something you need to understand. Because most people don't struggle with this idea. They struggle with applying it when it actually matters most. When money is coming in, when things look good on the surface, when the pressure isn't obvious yet, but it's building. That's where the gap shows up, not in theory, in real life. Because you can understand everything we talked about today and still feel like one bad month could take everything you've built down. It would just collapse. And that is not a knowledge problem. That is a protection problem. And most people, they don't see it until something forces them to. A slow month, a major unexpected expense, your highest paying client leaving. Not because those things are unusual, but because the system was never built to absorb them in the first place. And this is where everything changes. Because up until now, we've been building the foundation, okay? I've been teaching the system. But in Q2, where are we going next? I'm not teaching anymore. I'm diagnosing, and y'all gonna be diagnosing with me. We're gonna look at what's actually hitting you in your life, your business, and your environment. We're gonna name where the pressure is coming from and start to see where things are beginning to falter. We're going to talk about why so many people who look successful are still barely holding it together. Because depending on where you are right now, Your environment is already putting pressure on your system. You just haven't named it yet. So stay with me. Follow the Fevolution podcast. Turn on your notifications because next week we starting there.